This is entitled, Eisav Offered to Prevent the Inquisition, Pogroms, and the Holocaust, but Yaakov Declined. It's from Midrash Rabbah, Vayishlach. Since it's being filmed in April of 2024, an alternate headline could be, Eisav offered to prevent the U.S. from telling Israel how to fight Hamas, but Yaakov declined. So I've often said that the Midrash provides the psychological backdrop to the episodes in the Torah. And this confrontation between Yaakov and Eisav is no exception. We know, of course, that the night before there was a big wrestling match between Yaakov and the guardian angel of Eisav, although I did a previous session about that it could have been a friendly angel. Either way, there was this impending doom as Eisav came forward with his armed men, and all the bribes didn't seem to work. But yet, when the confrontation actually resolved itself and they became face-to-face with the real Eisav, there seemed to be almost a mundane and polite conversation between them. Eisav offers to accompany Yaakov on his way, and Yaakov declines, saying that the trip would take too much of a toll on his young children and his tender flock, his livestock. Now, read it to you in English. It says, but Yaakov said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are young and that the flocks and herds in my care are nursing, and if they are driven hard in a single day, all the flocks will surely die." So that's the way it's presented in the Torah. Of course, the Midrash has a completely different way of seeing what's going on here. Basically, Eisav is urging Yaakov to assimilate and join him on world domination. And Yaakov is declining this offer. And what exactly does it mean about my children are very young? So there's two different opinions in the Midrash. The commentators say children are young refers to great people in Israel who just haven't yet been born. And they could either be Moshe and Aaron, or it could be David and Shlomo. But there's really not a contradiction, because basically what Yaakov is telling Eisav is, we have a very proud and glorious destiny coming. There's going to be a transformational experience of getting the Torah. And we're going to learn so much from Moshe and even from Aaron, his brother. So for that reason, I cannot come with you. And we're even going to have glorious times of our nation when we're going to be a powerful nation living under those laws of the Torah. When David and Shlomo build the Beit HaMikdash and the Jews start out living the Torah in the land of Israel. This is our destiny. But Yaakov admits that there's going to be some difficult times as well. And when it makes reference to the tender flock, there again is a difference of opinion, which is really not a difference of opinion, because they're both true. It could either mean the slaughter by the generals of the Emperor Hadrian, the slaughter of Jews in Beitar, which essentially put down the Bar Kokhba rebellion, and there are astronomical numbers quoted in the Midrash and the Gemara, how many people, but it was many, many people, probably most of the people left after the exile. So that was one reference to the livestock are, young and tender and could be slaughtered in one day. And the other opinion in the Midrash is that it's talking about the almost slaughter in the time of Haman, the whole Purim story. Either way, these are the tragic parts of Jewish history, and certainly Yaakov is admitting to Eisav that you want me to assimilate and avoid, being dominated by the descendants of Eisav. Yes, I agree that is going to happen, and there are tragic consequences to that. Now, what was Eisav really after? Interesting, the Midrash actually says that it's not just offering Yaakov to assimilate, but he wanted something that Yaakov had. He knew that Yaakov had the world to come. And he said, if we, join forces and you join my path and my destiny, so maybe I can have a little bit of your world to come as well. And of course, ironically, what Eisav didn't realize is what Yaakov did realize, that God forbid assimilation means you're throwing away your world to come. You're throwing away everything of value. And so obviously that's what Eisav was after is the very reason why Yaakov had to refuse him. As the conversation continues, Eisav tries once again, according to the Midrash, he said, don't you want to avoid the consequences, I'll read you in English, of my ministers, my governors, and my officers? And who is that referring to? Well, let me give you a brief list. It could be Nebuchadnezzar, Antiochus, Titus, Hadrian, the Grand Inquisitor of Spain, Chometsky, Hitler, the list goes on, right? These are all the progenitors of Eisav, and today it's Russia, America, and Europe. And as I said, it's even America, getting involved in the war that Israel has with Hamas. So this is all the influence of Eisav. And this is something that, as bad as it is, not for a moment did Yaakov even think of changing sides and giving up the beautiful destiny of the Jewish people and getting the Torah and everything that involved. So this conversation ends as Eisav is going off into the sunset. Yaakov says, don't worry, I'll meet up with you in Seir. So it's interesting because the Midrash says, we checked all of Tanakh and there's no indication that Yaakov ever went to Seir. We know that Yaakov is very truthful, right? And Emes LeYaakov, how could he say something that is simply not true? But then the Midrash finds the pasuk that says, and I'll quote you, "V'alu Moshim b'Har Tzion l'shpot et har Eisav v'Yisal Hashem Amlucha," right? For the liberators shall march up unto Mount Zion and wreak judgment on Mount Eisav, and the kingship shall be God's. In other words, what actually Yaakov was referencing was the fact that at the end of times there will be a reckoning, and Yaakov, the Jewish people, will march up and take over and conquer Eisav. Have a good Shabbos.